Welcome, everyone. Welcome.
Welcome. Good morning, bright and early. Thank you for joining us on day 2 of PowerSkills. I hope you were with us on day 1, but if this is your first PowerSkills event this year, welcome. You can feel a few things before we start. Feel free to use the chat to ask questions, but also to network and talk to each other. It's also a nice place to say hello and let us know where you're logging in from, because we've certainly had people from all around the world, which is nice to see and nice to see in the chat. So my name is Rosalia Felice. I'm the manager of career advising and transition services at McGill School of Continuing Studies. That is quite the mouthful, so you can just say I'm from CATS, as is today's facilitator. Deanna Viola is in the perfect place right now. She's creative, and so you'll see that this is going to be a creative meeting of the minds with our guest. I would also ask that you get pen and paper ready, because this is going to be interactive and you're going to get your creative juices flowing on an early Friday morning. So without further ado, it is my absolute pleasure and pride to introduce my colleague, Deanna Viola. Have a wonderful session, everyone.
Thank you, Rosalia. Hi, everyone. My name is Deanna Viola, as Rosalia said. I'm the Communications Associate at CATS, Career Advising and Transition Services at the School of Continuing Studies. And I have the great pleasure to introduce Alina Gutierrez. And this was a beautiful surprise because I'm from Colombia, she's from Colombia, and I love design. She is a wonderful graphic designer, a candidate to PhD. She is a creative, a spirit person, a creative thinking mind, and passionate about positive change. I hope you enjoyed this session. And without further ado, please all welcome Alina Gutierrez.
Thank you, Diana. Wow. What an intro. Thank you so much, everyone. Hi. Oh, wow. It's so nice to see so many familiar faces. I'm really excited. Thank you for joining, for giving me your time, hopefully your energy on a Friday morning. You're taking the first step towards becoming more creative and having more fun at work, school, whatever stage in life you're at. This workshop is going to be really, really, really interactive. So I encourage you to stop me at any point. I'm super passionate about what I do. And I do have an accent that's pretty evident. So if there's, for any reason, I'm talking too fast, or there's a word that you don't understand, or there's anything, just stop me. We'll make it as engaging as possible. I want you to get as much out of it. So our plan for today is I'm going to start telling you a little bit about why we should use visual notes and the change that they can make in our lives. After that, we're going to do a little bit activity to show you the power of visual notes in action. And then we'll jump into an activity where that's why we ask you to have pen and paper. So again, if you do not have pen and paper, this is the moment to run and get it. We're going to be talking about the 7 main elements that you need to start doing visual notes. This is not proven by anyone, just by experience. I say that there's like 7 main things that we have to kind of start practicing to get into it. And we're going to do that today. And then at the end, I'm going to give you just a couple of concrete examples on how you can start using them in your day-to-day at work. Are we all ready to start? I want to see some thumbs up, hands moving, whatever. Let's start getting the energy going. Awesome. Thank you so much. Okay, so let me see if you can see my screen.
We do.
Great. Thank you so much. So I'm going to start by telling you a little bit why visual notes work. And I'm not just talking out of like whatever happened yesterday. I've been like physical proof of most of this. They're research-based. Obviously, as Deanna said, I'm working on my PhD, so I'm a little bit of a nerd when it comes to this. When I experience something at work, I go and look for stuff that kind of like supports that. And if it doesn't, then I start my own research to prove it or disprove it, either way. But visual notes are great because, one, they help us co-create when we use them live. And something that I'm going to talk about later is when we're using visuals, really important. People think that initially, like right away, they have to like just draw. And that's not true. The marriage or the relationship between images and text is as important as just the image, because one image has so many meanings that if we don't add words to it, when we look at it like down the line, we might not remember what we meant. So it's really important to have both. And also because our reality is we work with people from different backgrounds, with different languages, with different knowledge, and images are carried, like have a heavy, like really heavy part of their meaning comes from our background and our experience. There's one example I'll tell you after, but like obviously that I enjoy a lot talking about. So going back to why, when we use visuals, they highlight and they help us with collaboration. They help us zoom in our main points. So they highlight the most important things that we want to highlight. They help us with brainstormings and avoiding repetition. As human beings, we love talking. So sometimes during a meeting, 3 different people say the same idea. When we're having a meeting and people start drawing what we're talking about, it avoids people repeating the same idea because it's already out there. It's pretty clear that it was said. It creates a call for action, because when we use visuals and we keep them in a visual place, they keep reminding us what we agreed to or what we like said we were going to do through the meeting. It avoids misunderstanding. So I can say apple and I'm talking about the fruit, or I can say apple and I'm talking about the brand. Obviously, these are really simplistic example, but sometimes we're talking and we're like super sure that the other person across the room is getting our message. Meanwhile, they have one image in their mind completely different to what we had in mind. It saves time because of what I said about avoiding repetition, but also because avoiding misunderstandings saves time. So if as I'm telling you about my idea and talking about what we're gonna do and I'm doodling, it's easy for you to say like, oh, that's not what I had in mind. And then we can create the conversation right away instead of waiting 10 minutes down the line. And unfortunately, sometimes some days or months down the line to realize that we were in completely different pages. They're also awesome. And I'm not gonna get tired of saying this because obviously I'm biased and I love them, but they're also awesome because they're transferable. So that's why I said, it doesn't matter which stage in your life you're at, they can help you. I use visual notes at work. I use visual notes in school to take notes and to study for exams. And I use visual notes with my kids to talk about emotions, to talk about anything basically. Like at home, we like doodle everywhere. So they're transferable. You can use this skill in different parts of your life. They obviously help creative thinking, because just by doing things in a different way, you're getting your brain like out of the comfort zone and you start seeing things from a different perspective. And last but not least, it connects both sides of our brain. So for those of you here saying, well, but I'm not the creative type, and you don't have to be the creative type to be able to take some advantage of these tools. Now, this was a handful and I'm going really fast so we get like down to the fun part of it. But before I move on, are there any questions? And you can unmute yourself and speak if you want to, or you can use the chat. And thank you for the icons. They help me like know that you're engaged.
We don't have questions in the chat. We do have some comments. I don't know if you want me to read them. Maria Marley says, I started incorporating small sketches to my daily journaling.
Awesome, Maria, thank you.
Lorraine asks you will love Les Intelligences Citoyennes, a method developed by Maho Hansot. I don't know if I pronounce it well.
Perfect.
She co-wrote a guide and adapted for Quebec specifically.
Great. That's amazing. So look, I tell people the more we are doing this, the better. Because I've always been obviously an ambassador for visual notes, but even more now. We are zoom out. We're in front of a screen day and night, unfortunately, sometimes. And if we keep doing things the same way, we're gonna keep getting the same results. And unfortunately, because of technology, it's so easy for us to disconnect. So if we show people a PowerPoint full of text, they read it in the first minute, go and do something else and come back by the time you're passing, like going to the next slide. If you're lucky, if not, you lost them already. So I want to do a concrete exercise. We're going to start using our pens and paper. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to describe a shape, well, a mix of shapes. And I want you to draw what you're listening. Is that clear? Okay, awesome. So think about a square divided in 4 pieces. And I want you to draw 3 parts of the square, leaving out the top left corner.
Do you mind repeating again the instruction?
So you're thinking about a square divided in 4, and you're gonna leave out, see, I'm even using my hands, I shouldn't. You're gonna leave out the top left corner. So you're basically drawing 3/4 of the square. Now that corner you didn't draw, I want you to complete it with a quarter of a circle going inside the square. Now, under that square, in the bottom right corner, I see 2/3 of a triangle coming out. On the top left side that we left kind of open with a circle, I have a little star coming out, but there's one of the pieces, like one of the legs, hands, whatever, corners, one of the triangles of the star that I don't see.
Sorry, can you repeat that one again, Alina? So the star one, the last one you
The
just
star
mentioned?
is like kind of like showing up from the back of the square on the top left corner, that where we had this circle part. And they're under the star, in the bottom left leg of the star, there's a heart coming out. And if you guys did these on a Friday morning without having a coffee, you're my heroes.
Alina, I'm still stuck with the triangle. I've gotten everything else done, but I don't know what the triangle is doing.
That's great. That's proving my exercise.
How do I do the triangle?
That's perfect. So it's fine. I want you to please show me, for those of you with the camera on, I want you to please show me the image that you just drew. And I'm gonna, give me 1 second. Try to get it as close to the screen as you can. Are you seeing all the options that we have coming up? Great. Now I'm gonna do something really fast, and I'm gonna show you what I had in mind. How close were you to this one? Did someone had it exactly the same?
Me, but ugly.
There's no ugly here. So you had it exactly the same, awesome. And then the rest of us, we had different things. That's amazing. So out of 80, how many are we? We're 81 people. So out of 81 people, we all got exactly the same instructions. Obviously, this is not the way we talk at work. We're not talking most of the time about triangles and rectangles. We talk about even more complex topics. And we expect people to understand and have in their mind exactly the same that we had in our mind. So that's why I love doing this. And then the first thing, and thank you, Deanna, for saying ugly, the first thing that I wanted to talk to you about, or second or third now, is mindset and perfectionism, which I'm like guilty of it. First of all, mindset. Visual notes are not graphic design. They're not art. We're not drawing portraits. We're not, I really envy people that are able to do that. They have an awesome gift. Visual notes are scribbles, doodles, use whatever word that doesn't make you feel nervous about using them. The important part about using them is not to have an awesome piece, an amazing poster to put in your living room or whatever and show off. The power of using them and using these simple lines is that we can communicate and have conversations and be on the same page as much as possible. So if when I was giving you the instructions, I would have started drawing right away and be like, okay, you know, like what we're gonna do, the next product we're gonna launch is gonna be a toy that has, you know, it's kind of a square and it has a little circle coming off. So in that part, we can draw a star and the star is gonna light up when the kid says this. And we're having this conversation and I'm drawing. And at any point, instead of you thinking you got me completely right, you might be like, oh, I was thinking about maybe doing the star on the bottom corner and then maybe we do like the heart right away. Okay, perfect. Let's do the heart here. And then let's do the start here. And as we're like having our conversation, we're doing this scribble that is nothing wonderful. I'm not gonna paste it anywhere. I most likely will erase it after, but it helps us have a conversation and be as close as possible to the same idea. So it saves us time, it avoids misunderstandings, and it has everyone engaged. Because I'm doing something, you should be taking like paying attention so you can like be like, oh no, it was not that, or move it there, instead of just nodding and being like, yeah, I'm getting you, yeah, I'm getting you. But maybe you're thinking about lunch or the coffee you're gonna have next or whoever you're gonna call after this meeting. Are we all good? Great. So because I like doing and not just showing, you're gonna start doing some doodles right away. For those of you saying, I can't do it, I can't draw for my life, you're gonna draw and not even for your life today. I want everyone to start drawing some circles on the paper, no purpose attached to it. Just draw circles, as many circles as you can. They don't have to be perfect. They might be chunky, not completely closed. Like this one didn't close here. It's perfectly fine. Just draw circles. Were you all able to do that? If someone is having, like, if you're like struggling with something at any point, again, unmute yourself and ask a question. Now I'm gonna ask you to draw rectangles. And now we're gonna do triangles. We're going back to like kindergarten and practicing all our geometrical shapes. How are we doing? Thumbs up, middle, or down would work. Great. Now I want you to take a blank piece of paper or a space of your paper and kind of like in your mind divide it in 3 rectangles like this. So the space you have, you're gonna divide it in 3 rectangles. Now in the middle of the top one, we're gonna draw a circle that is gonna take like half of the space, but leaving a little bit of space under and a little space on top. And about here. Now leave a tiny space between that circle, and now we're gonna do a little rectangle. On the left side of that rectangle, I'm gonna ask you to draw a triangle sideways that is gonna take half of the line, the space half of the line. So this is like half of our vertical line. The triangle is gonna go like this. And now we can do like a water drop here, just to pimp it up a little bit. And we're gonna do a V on the other side or an open triangle looking up. and then another water drop here. Do you see where we're going? And now 2 straight lines. Congratulations, you draw the first person. So now none of you is allowed to say that you cannot draw for your life, because you can. And just like that, we cover the first element of visual notes. So as I promised at the beginning, we're going to go through 7 different elements that are at the end, with all of them, putting them together, are going to help you be able to take visual notes of a meeting, a conversation, a study, an article you're studying, whatever you want. Any questions so far?
We don't have questions. We have amazing comments. Thank
Great.
you. Great. Yeah.
Perfect. Okay. Thank you so much for the encouragement. I see the comments coming up, and it gets me excited because that means you're here with me. So great. Thank you. Keep them coming. Keep using the hearts, the icons, the thumbs up. That shows me that you're engaged, and that's what I want. Now we're going to move. So we just talked about the first element, that is people. And just because of the fun of it, I said, I thought to myself, I'm going to tell them we're going to draw people, and this is the reactions I'm going to get. So that's why before getting into the exercise, I didn't tell you we were drawing people. I just told you to draw a circle and a rectangle, and we got into it, and you guys did it. And now, obviously, you're going to say, but we didn't do this type of people. It's okay. We'll get there before the 90 minutes are over. Now, we're going to move to our second element of visual notes, and it's place and time, or I call it containers. This is what's going to help our visual notes flow better. So sometimes, you know, like, because things are happening so fast, you'll realize that you have like notes here, notes there, little icons here, but like at the end, there's no, for someone that's just coming at the notes, there might not be a clear flow, because obviously it's not happening as when we write, that there's always, it always goes on the same sense. So what we do to help our visual notes is we use either containers or banners to kind of like put elements that belong together and give flow to those notes. The first thing I'm going to tell you about, and this is an unspoken rule, no one had told me that, but I realized that most of us, like people doing visual notes, we do it. And is if the person or the people you're talking about, if they're outside, they stand on a curvy line and they're just enjoying nature. If people are indoors, then you make them stand on a straight line. And you might be saying they have no feet. You are more than welcome to do the same 2 water drops here. Normally people are a little bit more stiff and not as happy when they're indoors. So I'm gonna make this person serious. So this is something that kind of tells us where your story or where your idea is happening, where the character is. Now, if we want to contain text, I'm going to teach you a really cool tip. We can do banners, and there's all kinds of banners. So we can do like a little bit more of like a simplistic banner. Give me 1 second. A little bit more of a simplistic banner where, you know, like we just have a rectangle that you guys already showed me, you know, how to draw. And then maybe we can make it a banner and write our title there. If we want to show that there's so many options and we don't know where to go, we can use the good old root signal thing. And then maybe let's say we're having a team meeting and we're going to decide if we're going to go again forward with plan A or plan B. This could be a way to represent that. So these not only help us contain, it might help us give direction, because let's say we're going to say that this is our idea 1 and this is our idea 2, and this is what happens in the middle, and we want to write something, then we can do an arrow and write what the process that is happening is. Now, if we just want to do something cute for our text and or our title so it pops out, we can do a banner. I'm going to ask you to draw a rectangle. And then in the sidelines, kind of think where the middle of this rectangle is. The dotted lines that I do are the ones that we're going to think about, but we're not going to draw on the paper. So you drew your rectangle and you kind of see that middle line where the middle of the rectangle is. Now, this is when our first exercise starts coming handy because we're going to draw two rectangles, leaving a quarter of the rectangle out like we did with the square. And the rectangle is going to start here in the middle of both sidelines. We're going to leave the side open. I'll show you why in 2 seconds. Are we all there? Okay. Now I left the sides open just because
Oh, Alina froze. I think we lost her for a moment.
Are we there?
Yeah, we are here.
Oh, I think I was gone for a second. Okay. So now we're going to do a line that is going to put this corner and this corner together. So we draw that line and then we draw another one that gets this one and this one together. And now we have a banner for our title. Now these banners can be as simple or as complicated as you want. And then you can then start experimenting with it and make them a little bit curvier, or you can do, let's say, do more levels. So where the banner goes even another layer down. And why would you do that? Well, just because you want it to look cool or because you have more information you want to put into your banner. So let's say you have a title about a conference that's going on and you want to see, you want to write in which city it happened. So you have space for the city and then the date. And then maybe a social media handle that people should follow if they're going to the conference. So you can use the banner to kind of encompass and put together all the main information that you want people to look at right away, first thing when they look at your visual notes. Are there any questions?
We have amazing comments.
Okay, great, thanks. Well, I'm gonna go through all the comments right after, but I don't wanna just read all the comments right now because I wanna leave space for our questions and to be able to finish our 7 elements. But keep them coming and keep your gestures and icons coming. That helps me, that gives me energy to keep going. Next element is arrows. Arrows as containers are gonna help you organize our information. Containers, if we think about research, let's say, is we're theming things. So we're putting all the things that kind of have some similarities together. So they're in bubbles and they're easier to understand. Arrows, if there's an order that we should follow, are gonna give us that order. They're gonna tell us what to read first, where to go after. Now, for arrows, we can do it as simple as just this. And then I always say that there's information hierarchy. There are things that are way more important, the main points that you want people to definitely read. The second layer information where it's nice to know, but don't have to know. And then the third where it's details for those who are really interested. So when we're just connecting little details that are not the main points, we might use arrows like these. If the connection is not as strong, we might use dotted arrows. But then if we want something to really show the flow between, let's say, our point A, B, and C, then we might do thicker arrows that are gonna cut our attention right away. Now I wanna show you 2 different ways to do like bulky arrows. And there's so many ways, but for today, we're just gonna get into those 2. So the first one is you do a rectangle, leaving one side open. And then think about more or less the same distance that you have from here to the middle, and you're gonna do it up. And then the same distance you have from here to the middle, you're gonna do a line about that length down. And then if you keep this line going, because it's like the middle, then you're gonna get a line that comes here and comes here, and now you have your arrow. Now, sometimes because of the aesthetic of it, I find that these are too bulky and they take too much space. So you can do arrows, and again, this should have been a dotted line because this is the line that I'm imagining, but not drawing. And then open to the side, same here, up and up, and then they go to the middle. I'm so loving this, so good. I'm really happy you're enjoying it. And again, please stop me at any point if you have questions or need further instructions. We're a great group. We're moving forward pretty fast. I think you had your tea or your morning coffee, did your yoga, whatever it is, but we seem to be inspired and going. So we're gonna move to our next element, and it's speech bubbles or speech elements. Now, another one of those unspoken rules are if the speech bubble looks a little bit like a cloud and the line connecting it to the person is not solid, like the one in the middle here, then those are thoughts. Like she's thinking about this, but she's not telling people yet. Now, when the speech bubbles are more like a circular shape, they're more like smooth, the line goes like there's a solid line going to the person or the head, then she's talking. So these one are thoughts, and these ones are speech. The amazing part about speech bubbles is that just by doing this, we can actually communicate messages. So let's say we're gonna talk about aggressive communication, or we can do an aggressive speech bubble that is about to eat this small, cute idea. Or we're gonna talk about collaboration. As simple as we're working together, and let's start using icons now to find the idea we wanna move forward with. You know, even to show that we have ideas that are going in opposite directions, remember the arrows we just did? Let's turn them into speech bubbles. And it doesn't matter how opposite directions, how much of an opposite direction our ideas look like they're going, we can find a point where they meet. So again, we're not using really complicated drawings. We're using speech bubbles, but even with that, with this, we can represent ideas and start using a little bit more of a visual thinking in our day-to-day. You might be still asking, how are we gonna do that? But that's coming, so hang in there with me. Just because you're not asking many questions, I'm gonna do something that is gonna get you talking. Oh no! Did you get to see the shape? Okay, some people didn't. Awesome. So if you saw it, please do not say anything yet. I want you all to look at this scribble. What do you see? Do you see any shape in it? Feel free to unmute yourself and say the words that of whatever you're seeing. Or use the chat. A poppy, a big flower, a stocking, a flower, a fan. I haven't mentioned which software I'm using, but I'll get to that. A mouse, chaos, a little bit, yeah. Okay, so guess what? We're all looking exactly at the same image, yet there's big flowers, mouses, poppies coming up, and I saw a face. An elephant, awesome, I love it. There's a lot of nature coming up. I guess our first drawing about being outdoors got some people thinking, an elephant. Okay, so just to keep going back to my main point, if I want you to get something out of this workshop, honestly, well, despite the, besides the fact that you can all draw, is how much of a difference doing these scribbles, doodles, whatever you want to call them, when you're having a conversation with someone can make. Because I could have been trying to explain this shape without showing it to you. And someone was thinking about an elephant, someone was thinking about a flower, someone was thinking about a poppy, a ribbon, ideas, chaos. Meanwhile, I was thinking about a guy with a big nose and sunglasses or glasses. Are we ready to keep drawing? Great. We're gonna get to our next element, and that's text. So there's two main things that I will tell you right away, and I struggled with it so much at the beginning. When we're doing visual notes that are gonna be used by someone else or that we're gonna use it for a conversation, if you're doing it for yourself, do whatever you want. Like, you know, my notes sometimes are like chaotic, but that's the way my brain works and it works for me. But when I'm doing it with other people, I have to be mindful that it has to work for both of us or for the whole group. So using always capital letters when you're when you're writing makes your handwriting more legible. So that's a tip for whenever you're gonna do it in a group. So use capital letters. Now I'm gonna show you a really, really easy tip to make your titles pop up without having to do complicated bulky letters. I want you to draw the capital letter of whatever your name starts with. Just do it on the paper. So my name is Alina, starts with an A. You're gonna go to the left side of that letter and do a second line. For those of you who have an S, I have to show you because the rule doesn't apply. You're gonna do a straight line here and a straight line here. Now, all I do is put my lines together. Then sometimes I do a bigger line here to make it pop up. And there's so many options. I can do like a lot of lines, or I can just do it solid and color my piece. Or you can do, if you want to get funkier, a Valentine's card, then you can fill it up with hearts. Name it, do whatever you want. That's gonna make your title pop up and you're not going into really complicated hand lettering. I'll show you an example.
Alina,
yeah.
Someone asked, what do you do with that J?
Good question. There's no right or wrong. So you basically, it's your title and it's your typography now. You can do whatever you want. But sorry, you have a J. Let's make it a little bit thicker. Are there any other letters that people struggle with? Did we have challenges with any others?
No anymore.
Okay.
The Q.
Q. And I mean, if you don't want to do the, sometimes I do this one, take 2. So you color here and here.
We have questions for the M.
M?
Uh-huh. And X. And someone else asked again, what was the solution for the S?
S? Yes. And then again, like the big spaces that you have, then it's up to you to fill them up however you want to. So there's 2 things. And this applies for these decorations or for colors. I wouldn't go crazy on decorating every single letter in a different way because it's going to be like too much. And then people are just going to pull out instead of like being engaged by it. Same with the colors. I tell people use a lot of color, not a lot of colors. My drawings are super colorful, but I normally stick to 2 or 3 colors. So they have a lot of color, but they don't have all the colors together. Same when we're decorating or doing banners. We want to use them in a way that they're going to help us pop up the message, not get really like complicated and overwhelmed by just the decorations, because most of the time we're using visual notes to communicate a message. So we want it also to be like easy to read and kind of like easy on the eyes per se. Are we ready to go to our next element? Thumbs up or high fives or whatever you want to give? Great. Perfect. Thank you. Great segue. Color. Now, I could do a whole session just in color. So here I'm just going to tell you one thing. Use bright colors or warm colors to accentuate your message. Keep red, orange, and yellow for those things that you want people to really look at. For the whole drawing or for the text or for all your lines, use dark blue, gray, black, brown, colors that are not as bright and they're easy to the eye. Now, I should have, okay, if we have time, then I'll show you a trick to combine colors, but if not, at the end, I have a little surprise for you, so you'll get it anyways. But there's like little tricks for you to like decide which colors you're gonna use. So you're like, yeah, I'm gonna use 3 colors, but which colors? There's a lot of color theory behind why we should choose the colors we choose to match and contrast each other.
Alina, sorry, but we had a question from before that I think is an excellent question.
Yeah.
And it was from Melissa, who said, what if someone thinks you're not paying attention to them while you're drawing?
Oh my God, that gets to like me so much. Anyways, great point. Address it. Unfortunately, we were raised in a way, or we live on, and I hope no one takes this personal. I love the education system. I'm doing my PhD, but most of our classes and most of our, or like even meetings, we are raised in a way where like drawing is for kids and to have fun, and that's about it. But that's not the case. And I think I've been trying to prove it over and over again today. For me, what has worked is to like, since the beginning, be clear about like, I'm going to be doodling while we speak, and I'm not doing random things. I'm actually taking notes of what we're talking about. And that helps me better understand what the conversation we're having. So I find that when I'm clear with people and when I'm upfront with them, they actually appreciate it instead of being like, oh, you're not paying attention. Obviously, if I don't address it, because we're not used to it and people don't do it so much, if they see me in a corner with a pen and paper, they're like, oh, she's disconnected. She's just like doodling. But I'm actually doodling what you're saying. So it's actually helping me be more engaged. And then if you feel comfortable with it, I would actually offer it and be like, I can do it for myself, or do you want me to do it for everyone? And then just use a bigger piece of paper and do it so people can see what you're doing and have a conversation as you're doing it. But again, if you feel comfortable to it. Did I answer your question? That was Melissa, I think.
Yeah, it was from Melissa. And she says, I have a tendency to need to fidget sometimes, and I've been criticized for it by an employment agency.
I'm really sorry to hear that. And unfortunately, I mean, that I wish we could change it. And that's why I'm trying to get to as many people as I can. So more and more people start doing this and we start seeing it as a good thing instead of a bad thing. And, you know, like if the doodling helps you instead of having to like play with something else and it helps you concentrate and focus, again, I invite you to have that conversation. Some people might take a little bit more hard convincing to do than others, but I'm gonna give you all my contact information at the end. Reach out to me and we keep having this conversation because this could go for hours and I wanna keep going with the workshop, but I'll be more than happy to talk to you, to give you information, to give you articles, to give you like anything that you need to have this conversation with whoever you need to have it. Sounds good? Perfect. So now, and thanks for that question, that's awesome. A little bit of a personal story while I move to my next point. I got into visual notes actually through my master's. I was doing a master's in my second language and I struggled to keep up with the professors and taking notes. So instead of buying notebooks with lines, I started buying sketchbooks and I started doodling what they were saying. So I didn't have to know how to write the word. I would do an icon and then just write other words and keep going. So I didn't get stuck in the word that I didn't know how to write or that I didn't know the meaning to. And I did get some pushback at the beginning and people were like, you're not paying attention to my class. But then once I showed them my notes and what I was actually writing, it opened the door to a conversation and it opened the door to a career for me. So it is what it is. It takes a little bit of hard work to get people to like be open to that. But that's why today I want to show you little baby steps and little things that we can start doing that are not too much for people in your organization or your class to be like, whoa, we're not doing that. We're not going there, because you're not asking them to take risks yet, but are good enough to start like putting it out there and showing them that there's different ways to do things. Does it sound like a good idea? Great. So we're gonna move to a concrete exercise and I'm gonna ask you to think. So now you know how to draw people, you know how to do arrows, speech bubbles, containers, text. You know a little bit about color. The seventh element is effects. Just by adding lines or shadows, you can accentuate your message. So just by adding some straight lines on top of the person we draw, we can show the excitement. Or by doing like some curvy lines on top, we can show that they're anxious, worried, sad. Like there's so many different feelings that we can represent with the same line. Someone is angry and they're just ruminating, we can do like this line. Again, keep it simple. We're just adding a couple of lines and accentuating our message. Just to show you, so like normally, and sometimes obviously when we're talking, we're not looking at ourselves, but think about you. When you're excited, your body expression is more open, you're looking up, your eyes are up, your face is open. So this is our face. When emotions are positive, our eyes are on the top part of the circle. So here, when emotions are not positive or like they're like heavier, then our eyes tend to go down. Our body compress a little bit. We look down. We're like, we go smaller. So think about that when you're doing your visual notes. You can like in your head divide the face this way, and then when your characters are excited, like just happy, really excited, sad. Again, excitement, happiness, sadness, and the lines. And then if you want to mix lines and colors, then most likely someone who's like sad, we use like, the blues, because like light blue or purple represent more like sadness and heavy feelings, or like dealing with the loss, stuff like that, purple. If we're really excited, we tend to go for like orange, yellow, brighter colors. When people are upset, we tend to go to red. Some people go to like, I have to like look at my notes for that one, but like normally I go to red, but frustrated, yes, red. There's another color that I read about. Can't find it right now. But anyways, I read about another color that people are starting to use for upset that I was like, what? But I'll get more into it and post about it. So those are the effects. And also a simple effect that we can do is shadows. So if we have, I'm just gonna use a balloon, a ball, because it's simple. So like using a shadow makes it pop up. Or if we have a person here, normally we tend to do it like a little bit longer. And then if you're working digitally, what I would do is take like the pieces that are shadows and make them lighter. If you're working on paper, then let's say you use black or brown for your character, use a light gray for the shadow. So use like lighter colors for the shadow. Still helping you move. I'm gonna show you how to do shadow or like make your text also pop up. And the trick I normally use is, let's say I have an A. I'm gonna do it here to have more space. Think about where the sun is coming from, and then draw lines that go through your drawing. They might not come all from the sun, but you just keep them kind of parallel to the lines you were drawing. Just for the sake of the exercise, so it's clear for you. Now this A, I might turn it or I decide to do, if they keep going this way, to do a shadow that again Any questions?
We have questions. Can you recommend a text or reference with the color codes?
You mean to how to combine colors?
Andrea, if you wanna unmute yourself and ask the question.
Yes, I would like, maybe because you were talking about the colors when you are using it for emotions or to relate things on the drawings. So if there is like a reference or color code that we can relate to.
Go to any search engine, and type color wheel emotions, and or like emotions and color wheel, something like that. So you'll get the color wheel with all the shades of it, and then a specific emotions. And people are asking specific to tell you, you know, like light yellow would mean this, and then dark yellow that. But like you might get a lot of images like this. I keep one handy because it helps me.
Okay,
Like
great, thank you.
You're welcome. Anything else?
Someone asked, Fanny asks, what software are you using to draw?
The what, sorry?
What software are you using to draw now?
I'm using Procreate. Unfortunately, I think it's just available for iPads. It's not available on Android yet. I hope they do it. It's an amazing software. It's really like friendly to do stuff live. Like normally I use Illustrator when I do studio work, like when I'm working at home, but to do live notes is great because everything is super fast and it's easy to, but again, that could be a complete other session, but reach out to me and I'll tell you more about it if you want to hear more. But the name is Procreate. Any other questions, or you're ready to try something out? Are we good to go? Great, thanks for the thumbs up. Awesome. Okay, I want you to think about a project you're working on or a project you want to work on. Anything that you kind of have a clear understanding of how it should go. Do you have something? Great. Now, when we tell stories, there's so many details that you could tell. Again, like I could stay here talking that hour and a half just about why to use visual notes, or just about colors, or just about Procreate. But when we're telling a story, we want to just come across with the main points that people should know, so they can either get hooked and keep working on it, or like realize that it's not for them, or go and do more research. But anyways, there's key points that we want to come across. I want you to think about the 3 main things that you need to tell other people about your project, or the 3 main steps that you have to do to get that project going. What we're gonna do is we're gonna take a piece of paper, or a space in your piece of paper, and you're gonna kind of like think about your 3 main steps. You can do circles, squares, a banner, whatever you want. Now I'm going to give you a concrete example so we can move forward. I have an idea about doing a workshop on how to do engaging presentations. So that's my idea. Now, I'm going to give myself 3 weeks to develop that idea. And then I could go here about like the concrete steps that I have to get done. If you want to go into more detail, then let's say one of those steps is to talk to someone who's an expert in something, then, you know, like just write the name of the person here. So you remember you have to reach out to them and schedule something before, because you just have 3 weeks to do it. So now in between step 1, so this is my step 1, and step 2, I have 3 weeks. Once I have a concrete idea about it, I'm going to put the idea out there. I'm going to share it with people and see what reaction I get. Now, because I'm doing a visual plan for myself, I want to know how I'm going to share it, how often, like let's say I'm going to share it through video, a blog post, some social media post, how often I'm going to do it, who am I going to reach out to, all my plan is there. And I'm going to give myself, let's say, 2 weeks to see how that goes. And hopefully my 3rd step will be that I launch that program and have a group for it. Now, once I do that, how long is this program going to last? Is it just one video? Is it live, just one video? Is it live sessions? How are we going to connect? All the details. I mean, I could go into way more details here, but just for the sake of the exercise, that's kind of what you're going to do. You're going to tell us what your main 3 steps towards your project are, or if your project or your idea is ready and you want to share it with someone, what are the 3 main points about your idea or your project that you want to share with someone? Now, I'm going to open the chat, and as you think about your projects, if there's an icon that you need a little bit help with, let me know. Something that I always do, it never gets old, is obviously there's some icons that come more natural to me because I've done them repeatedly. I use them really often, but sometimes I'm taking notes for pharmaceutical companies or like things that are like not really familiar to me and I don't know how to draw those icons. Go into any search engine, type the word, and then add icon to it. What that does is that you're gonna get images that are simple images and not really detailed, complicated images. You can take your phone now and give it a try. Let's say we don't know how to represent collaboration. If I write collaboration, I might get like pictures and all kinds of stuff. So I want to write, I want to write collaboration icon, and then go specifically to the images. And then just because I wrote icons, can you see my screen? I get really simple images. If I don't write the icon right besides it, I might get all kinds of like detailed pictures. Like, see, things start getting way more complicated. We don't want to go there. We want to draw 2 or 3 lines to represent something. So now I'm going to give you 3 minutes. You have 1 minute per milestone to draw your plan or the idea that you're going to present. And if you have any questions, write on the chat. I have the chat open here. And the timer starts now. Yes, so the task is you thought about a project or an idea, and then you're going to think about the 3 main parts of your idea, if it's an idea that is ready to share, or the 3 main steps that you have to take to go move towards your idea. Did that help, Alex? Great. And Melissa, this is volunteering. A lot of people also do it as a hand with a heart. I like also doing it, showing the connection, because when you volunteer, you create a connection with others. Did that help, Melissa? Great. Oh, love baking. Could be that. Or you could do an oven. Paulina, did you get to see your baking icons? Great. You have 15 seconds left. I know. If there's stuff that you don't get to finish, just write the word so you don't forget about it, and then we'll look for the icons. Whoa, research method. I love that. Which research method are you talking about? So a lot of times research methods are representing with like a magnifying glass. Or with binoculars. But again, maybe it's because I have a bias there, like depending on the research method, I would use a different icon. And BBG, the light bulb, normally I do the outside first, then 3 loops, and then small ovals at the bottom with kind of a square that is curvy. and the lines. Lauren, thank you so much. Good luck with the rest of the day and have a great weekend. Just in case you want to stay in touch, and I'll add this link again later, but just because someone has to go, if you go to this link, you can download a guide to keep practicing your visual notes and also keep in touch with me, or you can find me on social media at Visual Versa. Now for the rest of you, are we ready to talk a little bit about this exercise? Can you see my screen? Great, because I don't see what I'm showing. BBG, did you get to see the light bulb? Great. And paper proposals. For paper proposals, just because normally paper proposals have a ton of pages. I mean, you can go as many as you want. And then great. So I want you to take your piece of paper and put it close to your camera, please, so we can see different results. Great, and I see all the practices too. I love the hand with the heart inside. 75th, nice. Awesome. Wow, I'm really impressed. Oh, I love the emotions there. I don't get to see people's names, so I hope you understand if I'm giving you comments, but it's kind of tough. Oh, there's a lot of arrows. I love that. Sophia, I loved your diagram with the circle and the arrows going around. Awesome. Someone is celebrating a 50th anniversary or something. Congrats. I don't know what that is. And I guess that's the volunteering hand. Great. Any questions about this exercise? I need to hear some voices. I've been talking for way too long.
Hello, this is Lorraine. Hi.
Hi, Lorraine.
Hi. What I need to communicate through all kinds of documents. I'm working on a project. The issue creates a lot of resistance because it's making people have to look at behavior, unconscious bias, and behavior that is contradictory to others, right?
Yeah.
And so there are documents, PowerPoints, all kinds of things that have to be produced. We're even thinking of, you know, videos and things like that. So we're going to have to do in the next couple of months graphic design thoughts. So choosing colors, choosing symbols, how to make ideas pop, how to make key ideas stand out. And also, can you in one same kind of document move from one kind of color to another color to represent the resistance, and then, you know, a place where we come to a common ground? Or do you choose colors that don't make people too nervous? Like, are you going to put it purple and red and black because everybody's resisting this? Or do you just choose, okay. Where do you go with that? How do you get a discussion going with a group of people who aren't designers to give information?
That's a great question. And I think we have like several questions within. So I'm going to try to address it as much as I can, but I'll invite you again, as I've been inviting everyone. We can continue this conversation offline too. But I'm going to try to address what I think is going to help also others in different projects. So the first thing is how to do it with the colors and all that. Sometimes colors, besides emotions, help us theming and organizing things. So you might use, let's say, and maybe orange with like to show like the struggle or whatever is going on. Then kind of use a, I love orange with purple. So let's say purple to see the process you're going to go through. And also purple because purple is used during grief and change and grief could be like a really strong word, but there's like different grieving. But change requires grieving and like giving up some things and changing some others. So maybe use purple for that stage. And then, you know, like a little bit of like a blue, kind of turquoise, kind of like the color of the sunrise a little bit, like the little blue on top of the pink when sun is coming out, to show like the hope and where you're looking towards too. So you're using your colors not just with the emotional meaning, but also to kind of show the process and to divide things in a way that is clear of, you know, like what goes into what. Now, if all should go together or go separate, then I mean, I think that requires a little bit more of a conversation and detail that we don't have time for. But normally what I tell people is when you're presenting something that has a lot of layers and a lot of emotions and a lot of resistance, don't show a final poster right away, like, boom, this is what we're doing. Like the reaction would be the opposite, that you want people are going to be like, whoa, it's too much. At the same time, I'm just like not going through that. So a good practice to do, and I mean, no offense, I'm not the best friend with PowerPoint, but I'm not the best friend. I don't love PowerPoint full with text, but if you use PowerPoint the right way, it could be actually really effective. So you could use this message in a way where like in the first slide, you just have all your orange things and like what's going on. So this is where we're at now, and you have a piece of it. Then the second slide has, and this is where we're going to go through, or like kind of the process, and it's like all the purple stuff. And then guess what? There's a better tomorrow. Where there's positivity you should look to and like, you know, talk about. So that's where the storytelling comes from. And then you're telling them where they are, where you want to go, and talk about that ideal state and what's going to happen in the middle. How are you going to bring them there? And you divide it in pieces, so you're not showing everything at the same time. Now, once you've gone through that process, showing your images and explaining and telling the story, the fourth and last slide could be the whole thing together. But now it makes sense. You build it step by step. You didn't just show everything right away. It's like if you're like teaching someone a process, you can't expect them to just know it. You like give them steps and like build on their knowledge, and then after get them to practice, you know, like today we started doing circles and then rectangles. I didn't tell you, okay, we're going to do this. Like there's the steps that you can build things in a way that it doesn't feel as uncomfortable and the jump doesn't feel as big. So like dividing visuals is a great practice. And then also showing the whole story, so it makes sense and you see the process, the whole big picture is great. But once you had that dialogue and things make sense, not at the beginning when they're like coming with a lot of information from the outside and it's just like kind of like being thrown at, like it would be too overwhelming. And I hope I'm answering your question. I know there's a lot. There's a great tool and it's free that you can use. It's called Piktochart. So it might help you build these diagrams if you don't, if you're not ready to jump into like getting someone to do it, or you don't feel comfortable to do it yourself yet. You can go icons, you can use icons from them, from there, or like even again, go to any I would say like Google or Yahoo or whatever, and type like the icons you want and add PNG at the end. So you get the images without the background, and then create your own diagrams. So when I talk about visual notes and visual thinking, and maybe I forgot to say this at the beginning, it doesn't mean that we have to do it all. It doesn't mean that to do visual notes, you have to do all the drawings. No, you can use visuals that someone else did and put them together and just do the arrows. So you can like be using images that already exist. And as you speak, you're showing people images and then you're just using the arrows to show them the flow. But things are still being built and being created in front of them. The effect is completely different and just showing them a full diagram that is already fresh, flushed, and done. When things happen in conversation and when they see the process of things coming out, the impact is way better than, because it's the difference of being talked to or being talked at than having a conversation. And we do that with visuals. So the same way that people tell you, you know, like your body language should be aligned to what you're saying. So I can be like, oh, guys, I'm so excited to be with you here today. This workshop is going to be amazing. Like your brain is going to be getting the message of like, she's tired and bored and she doesn't want to be here. You're not listening to my words. Visuals are exactly the same. You cannot show people amazing visuals flexible and be saying that, you know, like, this is what we're going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, because like if the message is strict and there's no room for conversation, even if the visual say something else, the message is not aligned, so it won't come across the same. Did that help, Lorraine? Great. Before we jump into more questions, because I'm going to show you another concrete, because for me, it's really important that you leave here today with concrete examples or baby steps that you can take to start using this at work. So something that we do almost in a day-to-day are agendas. Do you guys have to prepare, guys, gals, and everyone? Do you have to prepare agendas for meetings? Please raise your hand. How many agendas do others present to you in the day-to-day, like in a day? Okay, great. Normally we get bullet points or an Excel file or like a little table with what we're gonna do and the time is gonna take. What if for our next meeting, we're gonna have a 1-hour meeting? We'll create a visual agenda. Now, there's 3 things that I mindfully planned here. The first one, I didn't write the tasks. I just told them task 1 is gonna take 15 minutes. Task 2 is gonna take 10. Task 3 is gonna take 20. Why did I do that? Because if I write everything from the beginning, as I'm talking, people are trying to read what I wrote. So I lost them. They're like already reading. And then if they got to point 3 and they hate point 3, they're already thinking about lunch. So don't give them all the information right away. Get them get them curious, get them excited about something. And I mean, obviously, depending on the organization, you might use different colors, different fonts, make it a little bit more fun and doodly, make it a little bit more serious. But again, just look for the images. But now, so this is my meeting. And as you're presenting the meeting, even PowerPoint has a drawing tool, and you can be drawing on top of your agenda. So you're going to tell them, good morning, welcome to the meeting. This is what we have for today. We're presenting our next campaign. And this is the idea we have. We're going to take 15 minutes to discuss the idea. Once we present the idea, what we're going to do is we're going to get you into small groups, and we're going to give you 10 minutes for everyone to discuss what you like about it, what you think will work, and what you think doesn't work. When those 10 minutes are up, we're going to come back in plenary. The whole group is there. And we're going to have 20 minutes to talk about the changes that we have to do before we launch. Now, because today is the end of the month, we're going to recognize the employee of the month. That's going to take us 10 minutes. And then at the end of the meeting, we're going to spend the last 10 minutes talking about our next steps, stuff that has to be done, and who's taking care of what. Was that different that we will go through every day? We have to start trying different things you want to get.
Excuse me,
I'm going to invite everyone to mute yourself unless you have a question, please.
Alina, I have a question on the agenda.
Yes.
So as you are sketching this out, you're not actually looking at people, so you don't get like their reaction and you don't see their body language. Like, how do you stay engaged with your audience when you're sketching out and your eyes are not focused on them?
Okay, so I just sketched right now the arrows. The rest I had it ready. So when I'm sketching the arrows, like kind of like showing them the process, tell them how to follow my agenda, that took me like 2 seconds per arrow. The rest of the time I was looking at the camera and I could see people nodding and telling me yes. So I mean, if I'm doing, so there's 2 different things. When I'm doing graphic facilitation and I'm taking visual notes and the whole time my head is down, I'm not the one facilitating, someone else is taking care of the room and looking at the reactions. If I'm using visuals, but I'm the one facilitating the meeting, what I try to do is I try to have most of the stuff done in advance so I can just show it up as I speak, but I have my eyes on the audience.
Okay, that makes sense. Thank you.
You're welcome. And then depending on the software you're using, you could even, so what I tell people is like, okay, I hate animations where like things move a lot because I get dizzy, but you can do it as simple as, let's say you have a PowerPoint slide with all your agenda, draw either circles or white circles or squares on top of your images to cover your images. And as you're going to talk about each thing, you select the square deleted, and then the image is showing up. Select the square deleted, the image is showing up. And at the end, you have your full agenda. If you want to go on and do like the fade-in effect, that works well too. But it's a way to have everything ready without showing all the information from the beginning. Just you start kind of like showing things as you go and as you're talking about them. Last but not least, another example I have for you is feedback. So a lot of us facilitate meetings, have group discussions, and then the best part for me, or like the more meaningful gift that anyone could give me, is feedback, how to improve for next time. Comments are great, but before that, I want to know, are you excited? This, like, let's say this workshop, did it energize you, or like you're leaving tired and sad and disappointed because we didn't meet your expectations? So normally when we were able to meet face to face, I would do a big poster and I would give people 3 stickers, like circle stickers at the end of the meeting. And then it's basically like a thermometer, so they could place it everywhere. I'm not a black and white person. Like there's a lot of gray in the middle. So I hit like, did you like it or not? Like maybe I kind of liked it, but not that much. So I gave people the option with the stickers to be like, I'm kind of here. Like I'm not, I think my screen, let me see if you see like the little circle I'm doing. Do you see it? Great. So I'm kind of here. I'm almost there, but like maybe there were some details that you could have improved. Now, was there too little information? You left like, meh, I learned one thing, but whatever, I could have learned it with a podcast driving home. Or too much information. So technically in this one, I like people to be around here. Like there was a balance, but obviously you get people everywhere. Did I speak too fast? I tend to do that. So did I speak too fast, or did we go through fast through it? Like were we running through the whole meeting, or did I go too slow and you were falling asleep? And again, before I used to do it with stickers. Now there's tons of platforms that help us do that. Like Mural is one of them. I love using Mural because everyone can be on the same whiteboard, and I give them they can take Post-its and place themselves wherever they feel. And that gives you great insights in how people felt. So let's say if I ask you, how did you feel about the speed? And everyone says we were running through the whole session. Then maybe next session that I have for 90 minutes, there's stuff that I'll take out. Again, data always gives me a lot. If you said, oh, we were running, but the amount of information was perfect, then maybe the running was worth it. But if you tell me we were running and was too much information, then that equals overwhelming. And I don't want people to be overwhelmed. I want people to leave energized and excited about drawing. So that's another quick example for you to use. And someone unmuted, so I guess there's a question.
Yeah. Hi, Alina, do you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you.
Hi, very informative. I just have one quick question, because I think this is a great tool for, let's say, if you are presenting what you need to present, but I'm trying to understand how to draw, like if I'm taking notes in a meeting, because I feel like I will never be able to stay up to par, up to the meeting speed. If, let's say, like my manager is communicating with the team and I'm here doodling, like I can't see how fast I can doodle the information. So is there a tip or trick for that?
Absolutely. What's your name? Sorry, I can't see who's.
Matthew.
Hi, Matthew. Okay, so great question. Thank you. I'm going to ask you something. How many years have you been writing? Like writing text, taking notes in a written way?
I would say at least, plus 15 years.
Okay. How long has it been since you draw to take notes of something?
Never.
Okay, great. If you're gonna run a marathon, do you try to run I never run a marathon. 40 kilometers, how many kilometers do you run?
It's pretty high. Let's say it's a lot.
Yeah. Sorry?
40. I think it's 41 or 42.
40. Okay, 40. Good. Yeah. My goodness. Whoever does that, you're my hero. Congrats. If you're gonna run a marathon, which I haven't, but what I have clear is I don't go out the first day and try to run the 40 kilometers. I might end up at the hospital. I mean, with visual notes, you are not gonna end up at the hospital. Good thing about it is they're not permanent. What I'm trying to say with this is, obviously, the first day you try them, you're not gonna be able to keep up. And I've been doing this for close to 10 years, and sometimes I'm not able to keep up. There's things to do though. It requires practice. And then what I tell people is start giving yourself attainable goals. So let's say you have a meeting with your manager and you're going to take notes. You say, today, by the end of the meeting, I want to have 2 icons in my notes. Do you think that's attainable, Matthew?
Yes.
Great. The rest you're gonna write. You've been writing for over 20 years. You're able to do that. So you're gonna take written notes, but you're gonna have at least 2 icons. Once you say this is a piece of cake, it's super easy. Maybe try 3 or 4, then 5, then 6, and then when you least think about it, you're gonna be doing tons of icons and you're gonna feel okay. Now, some meetings are way more complicated. Some meetings go way faster. We don't need to have this finished right away. The meeting is over. After the meeting is over, you're able to add some things. So I would invite you to do this. If you're doing it in a big piece of paper, I would tell you use Post-its for the stuff that you're not ready to put on paper yet. If you're doing it digitally or you're using it just like a regular piece of paper so you don't have much space, what I would tell you to do is, let's say you talk about one topic that it was really important, but you really don't know what icon to do or you don't know much details. So write the topic here and leave white space. Then write the second topic here and leave a white space or blank space. Another topic, blank space. And then you say this connects to this. And then, so maybe you're just doing the text and some arrows the first meeting. This connects to this. Then maybe in between this, or like in between these two, there's something that kind of overlaps. And then you write the title here, but you're leaving the space. This is the title of your meeting, maybe the date. By the end of the meeting, you have your template and you have blank spaces that you would be able to fill up after.
Yeah.
What that does is it doesn't put the pressure. You might end up doing more icons than you think. It's a great exercise because you'll start realizing over and over again that depending on whatever your work is, there's several words that repeat itself pretty often. So like those icons will become so familiar to you that in a month or 2, there's stuff that you don't even have to think about. Like for me, ideas and light bulbs, like I draw light bulbs in 2 seconds because, you know, I do it several times a day. Yeah. Some other icons, if you're talking about a vaccine or if you're talking about, you know, some lawsuit, they might not come as natural to me. So what I do is I leave a blank space. And as I said at the beginning, we love talking. People would go back to the same topic, repeat things. And then when they're doing that, I don't need to be taking notes. I go on my phone and I search for the icon I need, look at the idea and draw it.
Okay, yeah, thank you.
You're welcome. We have 1 minute. Any other questions before we go? Like something that would not let you move forward practicing your visual notes unless we answer it today. So there seems like there's no...
Can you do it collectively?
Absolutely.
You know, like if you have a whiteboard in a real meeting, can you do it online collectively?
Yeah. Who asked that?
Lorraine.
Lorraine, thank you for the question. Absolutely. Again, if you're not in the same room, you can use Mural. There's apps for that that let you all be online on the same whiteboard. People don't have to open accounts. You can send them a link as a participant, and you're able to like do it at the same time. If you're on the same room, I love big pieces of paper where people can just doodle and use Post-its and move stuff around, and that's amazing. Absolutely. Doing collectively has even more impact because at the end, the piece was co-created. And what is really important about visual notes and what creates that call for action is that co-creation. You were part of it. You said you were going to do something. You were part of this plan. You'll better make it happen. It's completely different than if I show you a really nice, clean mural or poster with the plan that I prepared for you. So yes, I would encourage everyone to do it with their groups. And again, you can start with baby steps. We're gonna do, we're gonna co-create a mural, and it's just Post-its and text. People feel comfortable writing. Start doing that, and then you move the Post-its. It's still visual. You're still able to read what people are writing. You're still giving, what I love about this kind of activities is you're giving space to people that normally do not feel comfortable speaking up to write their ideas and put it out there. So you're not losing ideas. All the ideas or most of the ideas will be on the table. I'm mindful of time. I really, really appreciate all your participation, your great energy. I hope to stay in touch. I hope you enjoyed this this session. I think we're gonna get some feedback, which I said for me is great. 2 reminders: keep it simple. Really, like, try not to complicate yourself. Keep it simple and take care of yourself. Stay safe. Keep doodling. Keep practicing. It gets easier, comfortable, and way more exciting. But I'm gonna share just before everyone goes again a link. I can't get the chat open. Oh, there. A link in case you wanna download a free guide. It's not letting me. Deanna, can you help me with that?
For sure.
The link was up when someone was leaving. Can you copy paste it again?
Okay.
Yeah, I have it open here. I'll get it.
Thank you so much. So you can go to that link, download a free guide. Look me up at Visual Versa on LinkedIn or Instagram. I love connecting with people. If you need ideas, reach out. I'll be happy to connect. And for now, have a great weekend. Keep drawing and keep safe.
You, Alina. I'm so grateful for you today. Your session felt like an art therapy, really. For what I see in the chat and what I personally experienced doing your exercises, this session unlocked our creativity and helped us discover a new approach to address our professional challenges, no matter what it is, our field. Thank you for your generosity and kindness and your time, of course. And for all of you Power Skillers, please look out for your emails because we'll be sending out a survey on this session and all other sessions of Power Skills. I'd invite you to stay tuned because we have more activities, more sessions all along the day and tomorrow as well. And on a side note, McGill, the School of Continuing Studies, is receiving support from its extended community. So if you can and you want, you can feel free to pass by our website in the donation button, donate. Every contribution is appreciated, welcome, and a gesture of love. Thank you so much and stay tuned. Bye-bye.
I just want to say one thing, sorry, on that note, because if everybody can use on their reactions, their little party, this one, because what I saw in the chat was so many people like, I can draw, that was the best arrow I ever hit. So if you suddenly feel you're an artist, please put up your party, I love it. So thank you so much.
To take a picture.
Oh yeah, sure, let's do it again. Can I take a picture? 1, 2, 3, go, party.
Yay! Awesome, thank you so much.
Oh, thank you so much.
Take
Bye.
care.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.